Joey Logano started the weekend looking unstoppable. Pole position, a fast car, a clear shot at victory. But with just 59 laps remaining at Phoenix, everything suddenly went wrong. One moment in Turn 1 turned a perfect weekend into a complete nightmare. Logano and his Team Penske crew knew they had a real opportunity. The car showed speed throughout practice sessions, and the pole confirmed that their setup was working. Fans watching the weekend unfold saw a driver who looked ready to challenge for another victory. After years of success in the NASCAR Cup Series, Logano has built a reputation for performing well on tracks that require both aggression and precision. Phoenix Raceway is exactly that kind of place. The track itself presents challenges that few other venues in NASCAR can replicate. Located in Avondale, Arizona, Phoenix Raceway features a distinctive layout that forces drivers to adapt every lap. The dogleg on the front stretch allows drivers to cut across the apron during restarts and passes, creating unpredictable racing lines. Turns 1 and 2 are relatively tight compared to the sweeping corners on larger tracks. Drivers must brake hard entering the corner and balance the car carefully to maintain speed through the exit. Because of those characteristics, Phoenix often produces chaotic moments when drivers fight for position. Small mistakes can quickly turn into major incidents when cars are packed tightly together. That reality hung quietly in the background throughout the race weekend. When Sunday's race began, Joey Logano started exactly where he wanted to be. From the pole position, he had the clear track ahead of him and the ability to control the early pace. In NASCAR, the opening stage of a race often revolves around managing tires and studying how the car behaves in traffic. Logano and his team focused on maintaining track position while gathering information about how the car would respond as the track temperature changed. Early laps showed that the car was competitive. Logano remained near the front of the field and looked comfortable navigating the rhythm of the track. Phoenix requires drivers to adjust constantly because the corners demand precise throttle control. Too much throttle can push the car toward the outside wall. Too little throttle can allow competitors to dive underneath and steal position. As the race progressed into the middle stages, the competition intensified. Drivers who had struggled early began adjusting their setups during pit stops. Crew chiefs experimented with tire pressure and wedge adjustments in an effort to find speed. The field began to tighten as different strategies played out across the pit lane. Logano continued to fight inside the top group of drivers. Maintaining a strong position through the middle portion of the race kept him in contention for the closing stage. His team knew that the final segment would likely decide everything. Phoenix races often come down to a late restart or a small moment that shifts the entire outcome. By the time the race moved toward its final stage, the tension across the track had increased dramatically. Drivers knew that every lap mattered. Championship points were on the line, and opportunities for victory were becoming scarce. With fewer than 60 laps remaining, the race reached a critical moment. Joey Logano was battling in traffic as the field moved toward Turn 1. The approach to Turn 1 at Phoenix is notorious for creating tight situations. Cars compress as drivers fight for the best line through the corner. Even slight contact between competitors can create serious consequences. As Logano entered the corner, he encountered fellow competitor A.J. Allmendinger. Both drivers were pushing hard for position in a field where every inch of asphalt matters. The cars made contact entering the turn. What might have seemed like a small touch in another situation immediately turned dangerous. Logano lost control of his car. Within seconds, the situation escalated from a simple battle for position into a major crash. Logano's car spun across the racing surface, leaving little room for drivers behind him to react. NASCAR races happen at speeds where decisions must be made in fractions of a second. Drivers approaching the corner suddenly faced a spinning car blocking their path. The result was a violent multi-car incident. Several competitors were caught in the wreck as they attempted to avoid the spinning vehicle. Among the drivers involved were Josh Berry and Daniel Suarez. Both had been running competitive races before the incident unfolded. The crash instantly ended their chances of finishing near the front. For Logano, the moment was devastating. Only hours earlier, he had celebrated the 38th pole position of his career. The weekend had started with optimism and strong performance. Now his car was damaged beyond repair, and his race was finished. Safety crews quickly arrived at the scene to assist the drivers and clear the track. NASCAR officials displayed the caution flag while teams waited on pit road to see how the situation would unfold. Incidents like this are an unfortunate but familiar part of stock car racing. When cars run close together at high speed, the margin for error becomes extremely small. Logano climbed from his car knowing that the race was over. His final result would be a disappointing 31st place finish. For a driver who had entered the race with hopes of contending for victory, the result felt especially frustrating. The incident also impacted the races of several other drivers who had done nothing wrong. Multi-car crashes often create collateral damage for competitors who simply find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Drivers like Barry and Suarez saw their promising runs disappear in an instant. Moments like this remind fans just how unpredictable NASCAR racing can be. A driver can dominate practice sessions, secure the pole position, and show race-winning speed throughout the event. Yet one brief moment of contact can erase an entire weekend of preparation. Phoenix Raceway has a long history of producing dramatic races. The track's layout encourages aggressive driving because passing opportunities are limited. Drivers frequently attempt bold moves entering the corners, hoping to gain valuable track position. Sometimes those moves succeed. Other times they lead to incidents like the one that ended Logano's race. For Team Penske, the crash represented a tough setback during an already competitive season. The organization has built a reputation as one of the most successful teams in NASCAR history. Their drivers consistently compete for wins and championships. Losing a race in such dramatic fashion is never easy, especially when the weekend began with so much promise. Logano himself has experienced many highs and lows throughout his career. As a three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, he understands that racing success requires resilience. Drivers must learn to move forward quickly after disappointing results. Dwelling on a single race can distract from the long season that still lies ahead. Even so, the frustration of the moment was difficult to ignore. Pole positions represent exceptional performance. They show that a driver and team have found the perfect combination of speed and balance. Converting that speed into a strong race finish is always the goal. In this case, circumstances prevented that outcome. Fans watching the race could see how quickly the situation changed. One lap, Logano was battling for position among the leaders. Moments later, his car was spinning across the track as the field scrambled to avoid the wreck. The incident also sparked discussions among analysts and commentators about the aggressive nature of racing at Phoenix. Some observers argued that the track's tight corners naturally lead to contact when drivers push for position late in the race. Others suggested that drivers must exercise caution in situations where a small mistake could eliminate multiple competitors. Those debates are part of what makes NASCAR such an engaging sport. Every race generates conversations about strategy, driving style, and the risks involved in high-speed competition.